Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. Now, paid requests. This time for Alban. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, Alban wanted me to talk about what my top 15 favorite films of 1984 happens to be. And I was looking through it, there's a lot of good films that came out that year. Like a lot of years in the 80s. That it was hard to keep some of them off the list. Like Police Academy. I do enjoy the first Police Academy, but I could not fit that on the list. Evil That Men Do with Charles Bronson. I do like that film, but it was hard to keep that on the list. And, yeah. Missing in Action. I like Missing in Action with Chuck Norris. I will say I prefer the sequels. Well, the prequel and the sequel, 2 and 3. That's really the only reason why it's not on the list, because while I do like the first Missing in Action, I actually prefer the second one. That's my favorite. And the third one. The Karate Kid. I do like the first Karate Kid. I do think it's a tad too long, though. But I do like it. But Karate Kid Part 2 is actually my favorite of them. But it was hard to put that. That's for me. It's Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai, Angel, Body Double. So what did make the list? Well, a lot of times people go backwards. I'm going to go forwards. Because my number one favorite film of 1984, people's eyes are going to roll, but it's my personal favorite, and that is Runaway. I love this film ever since I first saw it as a kid. It might have been taped off a TV or like a really rusty like VHS tape. This is an overseas Blu-ray. I don't know if this ever got a release in the US on Blu-ray. It might not have, but this is from Explosive Media. God, there's so many pictures in there, yeah. And, yeah, so many pictures on the side. But yeah, I love this film. I love Tom Selleck's performance as Ramsey. I love Gene Simmons as the bad guy. I think he works fantastic as the bad guy. He had the right look and demeanor. The little kid, he would later be Sylvester Stallone's son in Over the Top. Cynthia Rhodes, Kirstie Alley, may she rest in peace. I love the score by Jerry Goldsmith. It's a wonderful score. One of the underrated scores by Jerry Goldsmith, because no one really talks about his music in this. I love the setup of the film, where it takes place in a world where people use robots for everyday maintenance. But I know people kind of knock the way these robots look, but at the same time, to me, they look... Like, obviously, in a lot of sci-fi films, we kind of try to be very pretty and very... as sci-fi as possible, because we got the budget to make it as extravagant as possible. But the way the world is in this, in the future using the machines, these seem like how it would actually be in terms of, yeah, they would look like actual just regular equipment, and they wouldn't be all the bells and whistles, just people would want to get as cheap as possible of design. They just want it to work correctly. So if we were in a world where these robots or other stuff are helping mankind, it made it sort of, in a way, down to earth, and I hate to say realistic, because it's, it's not realistic, but it made it feel more like a real world compared to, like, I liked iRobot with Will Smith, but that's so, worlds like that will never exist in the future. It's fun to think of in a sci-fi, a world more like this, that's more of the possible future for what really would transpire if that ever came to place. It's got some B-movie fun. I love the robots that Gene Simmons comes up with, the spider robots that shoot acid. I think that's a really cool design. I do wish he used this gun, but sadly, Tom Selleck never uses his gun. This is Gene Simmons' gun. And the idea that the gun goes after heat signatures and will go around corners Talk about a bullet with your name on it. And then like little explosives. I love the finale because it sets up that Tom Selleck's character has a fear of heights, and you find a little bit of what happened, and he has a little bit of a tragic backstory. I thought the scenes between him and his son were sweet enough, but not overly sweet and sentimental. I like the bits between him and Cynthia Rhodes. I like some of the fun action pieces. For example, when they're protecting Kirstie Alley and the bad guys, they're releasing all these drones. They're like mini bombs, and it's this freeway chase where they have to use their devices to shoot these bombs before it gets to the car and blows them up as they're being trapped. Like I said, I was talking about the finale. It takes place in this high rise where Tom Selleck's trying to save his boy. And he's stuck on this elevator, and he's got the fear of heights, and he's got these fucking robot spiders with acid trying to shoot at him and burn him up, or grab on him and set him on fire like it does other people. I always love the scene where one of the runaways, that's a robot that goes haywire, there's a family killed and there's a baby crying, and Tom Selleck has to go in the house. And the way Michael Crichton shoots the scene and sets it up, and the build-up of tension during that scene, and the music Jerry Goldsmith provides, I always thought there was a nice tense sequence. You have the drone coming in, you see through his point of view, you see the dead bodies, and then you hear a gunshot. What the hell, is that a gun? And Tom Selleck has to go in. The supporting cast, I mentioned Cynthia Rhodes, of course, Gene Simmons, Kirstie Alley. You also have Stan Shaw, character actor, has been in a lot of stuff. He was in Daylight with Sylvester Stallone. You also have, I forgot his name. Speaking of Police Academy, G.W. Bailey as the Tom Selleck's boss. And it's one of my favorite Tom Selleck performances. I really enjoyed it. Sadly, this film got shit on by critics, and it got overwhelmed by The Terminator. And I think 99.99% will put The Terminator above this. Understandably so. It is on my list. It's a damn good movie. But, number one, I like rooting for the underdog. And number two, I actually watched this. I watched The Terminator a lot growing up. I watched this film even more growing up. I don't know, if I have two films I like, I just more yearning to root for the underdog. Maybe it's just the rebellious nature in me or something else in question, but maybe because this deserves more defending. Because it just shit on all the time, it gets forgotten all the time, and this deserves defending. So, maybe one day do like a live stream commentary on this or something, I don't know. But that's my favorite of 1984. Number two, Ghostbusters, comedy classic. I still laugh at a variety of scenes of that movie. Remember we tried to drill that hole in your head? That would have worked if you didn't stop me. Are you menstruating right now? What does that have to do with anything? Back off, man. I'm a scientist. We're paying you, man. We're testing you. You keep the $5. I will, mister. The cast worked so well together. I love the paranormal aspects of it. The score is very energetic and fits with the film well. You have some good songs. Saving the day. Saving the day. Sigourney Weaver and Bill Murray worked rather well together. You're like a game show host. Rick Moranis is fun. Just a great melding of comedy and special effects. And hey, he's a sailor. We just get him laid. We're all good. As some of the effects, like the Marshmallow Man, still hold up to this day. I love the Marshmallow Man. Just a lot of entertainment value in Ghostbusters. Just a classic. I could laugh anytime I watch that film. Number three, Beverly Hills Cop. another classic. Axel Foley, The Heat is On. Eddie Murphy. He was already a star by this point with 48 Hours of Trading Places. This made him a megastar with how huge this film was. It's not my favorite Eddie Murphy film. That will always be The Golden Child, but I love Beverly Hills Cop. It goes back to four, which I like more. The first one and the second film. Both are very funny. I want to say the first one's a bit funnier, but the second film has a bit more in terms of action. But I go back and forth. I love both of them. I think Eddie Murphy's in his prime here. Come on, quicker! I love the introduction of Judge Reinhold and John Ashton as what becomes Eddie Murphy's new partners in L.A. Ronnie Cox, I like that they didn't make him just the typical boss, that he's actually more friendly, more understanding, more willing to listen to Axel Foley, which is a nice change of pace, because usually bosses, police officer bosses in movies are very stern and wagging their finger and give me your bag, give me your gun, I want your ass, who the fuck do you think you are? Not quite with Ronnie Cox. It was a nice, refreshing change of pace. Also cool to see Steven Berkoff, because he would be the villain in Rambo First Blood Part 2. And of course the original idea I don't know why I sound southern, idea, Huckleberry. That film, Cobra, is what it became. Because Stallone was going to do it, but he wanted to turn into a more action movie, and he wanted to be Axel Cobretti, the Motor City Cobra, and more action. They parted ways, amicably, on nice terms. Stallone took those ideas, and it became Cobra, which I love that film as well. So we got two damn good films out of it. But Eddie Murphy was fit for Axel Foley. I don't look forward to Beverly Hills Cop 4. I'm going to say right here, I hope it proves me wrong, and it's good. For people who say I'm cynical, I hope it surprises me and proves me wrong. Because I like Eddie Murphy's Dynamite. What was it? They call Dynamite Still My Name. I can't believe I forgot the name of it. I forgot because I haven't seen it because it's not released for physical media. But where he played the Rudy Ray Moore. I liked that film. Wesley Snipes was in it. But I did not like Yes, You People. I did not like Coming to America 2. So I think this is make or break. The Beverly Hills Cop 4 sucks. It's already pretty much done for Eddie Murphy, but that's just no more. But the first one's a classic. So's the second one. Fuck the third one. Number 4 is The Terminator. What more can we say about The Terminator? Fuck you, asshole. Nice love story between Michael Biehn and Linda Hamilton. Wonderful score by Brad Fiedel. James Cameron wanting to prove his worth. The design of the Terminator, thanks to Stan Winston. The whole police station massacre. It's a lot of these movies is kind of like, what more can I say? It's Beverly Hills Cop. It's Ghostbusters. It's The Terminator. Enough said. Number 5, I put 2010, the year we made contact with Roy Scheider. I'm a big Roy Scheider fan. That actually made me appreciate the first film, 2001, even more. I remember I saw them back to back. 2001, Space Odyssey. I was a bit confused with the ending, but I remember liking the film, and I still do. And then it was 2010, and that film is much more straightforward. It made me understand a bit that was missing in the first film, which some people didn't like. I appreciated it. And I would say it definitely has the better cast of compared to 2001. Like 2001 is more grandiose in its direction. But 2010, I think, is, like I said, better acted. Roy Scheider, John Lithgow. Was it Helen Mirren? I want to say was in it. Really like the cast. It has a bit of that Cold War background. It has a sweet message at the end, living in peace with each other. I think it's a good follow up to 2001. I don't think it does anything to. It does what a sequel should. It adds onto the original. It doesn't destroy anything in the original, and it still makes it its own. Roy Scheider gets to find out what happened to that mission long ago. You have some very solid special effects. The music works very well with the film. You still have some beautiful visuals in that movie. John Lithgow was a lot of fun, and I forget the guy, because it's the Americans and the Russians. They go up to see what happened to the ship in the first movie. And while they're doing that at home on Earth, there's tensions rising between the East and the West. As the guy keeps saying to Roy Scheider, just hopefully there's a home for you to come back to. It's a good old-fashioned science fiction movie. Keir Dullea comes back from the first movie. I thought it wrapped things up nicely for that story and gave closure. Roy Scheider's character Dr. Floyd is in the first 2001, played by a different actor, of course. There's closure for that character. There's closure for Keir Dullea. Even closure for Hell 9000. And he actually gets a bit of... how do I put it? Like Hell 9000 comes back and even gets... redemption. Is a bit of redemption. It is an important moment, but he hits the morally right decision. And Bob Balaban, who's been in a few films, I like a lot of the characters, and like I said, wonderfully directed by Peter Hyams. And I think I've said before, he's in my top 10 favorite directors, because I looked at his track record. Peter Hyams did Outlander with Sean Connery, Stay Tuned with John Ritter, where him and the wife get sucked to the TV station from hell. They go like Dwayne's Underworld and all that. Love Stay Tuned. You have End of Days, The Relic. A lot of great work from Peter Hyams. Time Cop. Definitely an underrated director. So 2010, he had done stuff before, but I think that really brought eyes on him, where he made a sequel to a Stanley Kubrick film and it wasn't a fucking mess and a disaster. It's pretty impressive. Number 6, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I do like the film. I always thought it was weird that they made it a prequel. I've heard the reasons being, well, so that they don't use Nazis. Well, you don't have to use Nazis anyway. But I still never understood why they made it technically a prequel, but definitely the darker of the Indiana Jones movies. I love Tihor Kwan as Short Round. Kate Capshaw, I go back and forth, meaning I don't hate her as much as other people do, but at the same time, I definitely understand, and even for me, her constant screaming and complaining can be grating at times. I definitely don't like her as much as Taryn Allen in the first and fourth movie. So like I said, I could deal with her, and I can, for the most part, enjoy her performance. But yeah, there are times where the screeching can be a bit much. The Indy could be a little bit much. I think that could have been toned down a bit. But very elegantly, extravagantly directed by Steven Spielberg, from the opening, the nightclub, and playing Keep Away with the antidote and the diamond, and them having to escape the plane, the backdrop. It made it feel different. It didn't feel like a repeat of the original. Okay, we're in the completely different location and region and backdrop, and these kids are in trouble, and this cult and slavery and stuff that'll make you go crazy and mind controlled and Kalima, Oomside, Oomside, ripping hearts out, but they're still alive, and just imagine that. It's still a PG movie, and people's hearts being ripped out. It probably did scare the shit out of some kids. I love to hear if it doesn't. Anytime I say that, no one says anything, but I always ask these questions like, if you were scared the shit out of if this scared the shit out of you as a kid, comment down below. It didn't me because I was watching Predator and other movies. To me, it's like, oh, cool, but yeah, I love the rope bridge in the finale. See him in hell. And he added the minecart chase, of course. Like I said, the voodoo thing. I'm kind of, I don't know, for some reason I'm kind of mixed on it. I think just like well, that's actually, that makes sense. Just old voodoo that's controlling Indiana Jones, trying to get a fight. It's more obstacles for Indy to overcome, and thankfully people like Short Round come in to help him out. So it actually works out for the best, so I take that back. But yeah, great movie, Temple of Doom. I liked all the Indiana Jones films so far. This new one looks like dog shit. Number 7, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. I know it's kind of looked down upon because it's kind of the middleman between Star Trek 2 and 4, because you got the Wrath of Khan, the Death of Spock, then you got the more comedic human movie where they're the fish out of water, and this is kind of the in-between movie. But I've always liked this film, and I never got that, well, the odd number of Star Trek films are bad, because I like Star Trek 1, and I like Star Trek 3 quite a bit. I can watch Star Trek 5 for what it is. So I don't hate any of the first 6 movies. I like them quite a bit, actually. 5 is the weakness of the first 6, but I'd rather watch that than the fucking Star Trek bullshit today. But in Star Trek 3, I like the interactions of the characters. I thought Leonard Nimoy knew that was important. So each person gets, Sulu gets his moment, and Chekhov gets his moment, and Uhura, when she's talking to the guy and gets a drop on him, she gets her moment. It was nice to see, Sulu, don't call me tiny. It was nice to see each character get their moment to shine. It was wonderful to see Christopher Lloyd as the bad guy. And the first movie to really showcase the Klingons as the bad guys. Because the first one was V'ger, the second one was Khan. Klingons were a big part of the show. They were in the first movie, but they just got destroyed by V'ger. Show them as the bad guys. Okay, let's bring them to the fold. And Christopher Lloyd is having a lot of fun as the bad guy. I thought the cast did a good job. I like William Shatner's reaction when he finds out his son has been killed. I didn't think it was too over the top. I love the fight he has with Christopher Lloyd. I have had enough of you. And it accomplished what it set out, bringing Spock back. It's a fun follow-up to the Star Trek 2. And I like, what's her name, Saavik? I forget her name. Robin Curtis. I'm trying to remember, was it Kirstie Alley in the second film, I want to say? I actually remember liking that character more in the third one, then she comes back in the fourth one. I actually like that actress more. Maybe because I just saw Kirstie Alley as Kirstie Alley, not as a Vulcan. But then when I saw, I want to say her name is Robin Curtis, forgive me if I'm wrong. I just saw her as just that character. I actually liked her more. Rest in peace to Kirstie Alley, but I liked the way that character is portrayed in the third one more. And she comes back as a cameo in the beginning of the fourth film. Didn't mind the guy who played David, who was in the second film, Captain Kirk's son. I think he had James Horner come about to do the music because he did the music in the second film. Did capable enough job. I always thought it was an underrated sequel. I never thought it was as bad. I liked the bit with the ship where they gotta steal it. If you do this, you'll never sit another chair again. Another captain chair again. And you just saw the camaraderie these folks had with each other, the characters, to do whatever it took, fuck their careers, to save one of their own. It just, whether it be McCoy, what was it that Kirk goes up, tells him what happened, it's like, I knew it. That green-blooded bastard got his revenge. For all those arguments he lost. I love DeForest Kelly, may rest in peace. That's what I mean. The characters were. I love these characters. From the original show to the first 6 movies, even the cartoon that was short-lived. I love those characters, and you see a good reflection of them in Star Trek 3. It's actually one of my favorites in the franchise. Number 8, Chud, cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. Love. It's funny because it kind of seems like separate films in a way, where you got John Hurd as reporter, and you got his movie with his girlfriend or wife and doing his job. Then you got Daniel Stern in his movie and his top Bosch and talking about how the homeless are disappearing. And then it's not until the third act where finally these two characters, John Hurt and Daniel Stern, get together. I wish they got together earlier, and they could have had like a Val and Earl Tremors banter. But I like the look of the creatures. A lot of people make fun of the designs of the creatures. I like the way they look. I think they stand out. I get that probably the more enticing idea as a movie would be to just have crazy people, but I don't know. I've seen a lot of people. I mean, I've seen a lot of movies like that. The Crazies, even a Mutant with Wayne Hauser. Which, did that come out this year actually? Yeah, see real quick. Because if so, I might have to put that on the list. Because I do like that film. Let me see real quick. But yeah, I even like the music. Let's see. John Goodman has a quick little cameo as a police officer. I think Daniel Stern is fun in the movie. I like his character. The Reverend, the guy who works the soup kitchen. I think he does have some nice pieces of dialogue, which, from what I understand, a lot of it, I guess, was ad-libbed by them. I like the look of the monsters. I'm a sucker for movies that a good chunk of it takes place in the sewer system, because I think it has some good claustrophobic I like those claustrophobic settings. It is 1984, so shit. So I want to put that on the list because I do like that film and I think it's underrated. Damn it. Fuck it. Tied with number 8. I don't give a shit. Chud and Mutants. It's my list. Which is actually for free on Tubi. But I'll put it there. But yeah, Chud. It's funny, when I first saw Chud, it was on VHS and it had a different ending. The original ending was things seem to work out fine, cuts throughout the city, then you're in a diner, and then John Goodman is there as a cop, the creatures attack, and the movie's over. I went, oh, okay, that's okay, whatever, sequel bait ending. But that wasn't the original intention. And when I got the Blu-ray, there was, I don't know what it's called, the director's cut or some other cut. I forget what it was called. And I'm like, wait a minute, that scene at the end is earlier in the film. And that's the thing, even in the first cut I saw, there's a bit where the cops are looking at this diner and looking at how this diner's been attacked by these monsters. And it's the same fucking diner that was put at the end of the film for that scene. So this is re-edited into the right, into it, what it was originally presented, what it originally was meant to be. So it ends with Daniel Stern getting the gun, shooting the bad guys that are chasing after them. The van goes in, blows up the sewers, kills the creatures, goes to the city. It ends. I'm like, oh wow, okay, I much prefer this ending, and made me like the film even more. I'm like, wow, that was the original intention? Interesting. And let me see if it says here what that was called. And yeah, fuck Chud 2. That movie sucks. Bud the Chud. Fucking stupid. John Hurt, Daniel Stern, Christopher Curry played their cop. They're not staying down there anymore. Like I said, I like the look of the creatures. I think they look cool. I'm trying to think if it says here. Yeah, Arrow Video did the Blu-ray. A new one was released on November 2021. It attracted a cult following over the years, inspired the name of a film website, Cinematic Happenings Under Development. I don't even know that website's around, but I do remember that website. References to it have appeared in The Simpsons, The CW's Flash, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Clerks 2, Rick and Morty, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. In 2007, Rob Zombie's rumored to be considering a remake. Oh my god, thank god that didn't happen. The found footage film Dwellers was said to be inspired by Chud. I've never even heard of this film. Blair Witch Project and Chud. Huh, Dwellers. I might have to look into that, see what the hell that movie is. Dwellers. The anthology Chud Lives, a tribute anthology edited by Joe Minhart, released in 2018, has an interview with the late Chud movie producer Andrew Bonheim, interview with horror author Eric S. Brown, did with Chud screenwriter Parnell Hall, a 19-story set in the universe of the movie Chud. Oh, I think it's a book. Yeah, I think it's a book. But yeah, Dwellers, I've never heard of that. Guillermo, that's my found footage guy. How is Dwellers? But, anyway. That's number 8, Chud. I don't want to take anything off. Fine, I won't put a tie. I'll be cheating. Number 9, I'll put Mutant, because that's another film I do find is a bit underrated. And you know me, I like rooting for the underdog. And I remember when I first saw the film, it had this very dark. You tried to see what was going on, but thankfully it did get released on Blu-ray later. I forget who released it, and picture quality was absolutely cleaned up, which was great to see. I like Wienshauser. He plays a good guy in the film. It's about him and his brother going to this town. Their car gets fucked up. They get housed in this seemingly nice lady's place, but Wienshauser's brother gets taken. He's on the search for his brother. Just in contact with this female like doctor, and then also the sheriff played by Bo Hopkins. He's Bo Hopkins, the same guy that was in From Dusk Till Dawn 2 with Robert Patrick. He's been in a few other stuff as well. And pretty much they have to deal with these mutants, which are people, very pale white, and like their fingertips have this acid thing where it go through windows, and there's even a point where kids get killed, and there's all these mutants kids in the school they gotta stay from. There's a whole finale where Wings Hauser girl are trapped in the store, and they got mutants everywhere. They just big old standoff as the siege is taking place. Like I said, I always liked that film. It was also, I think it was the same director that did Kingdom of the Spiders. Was it John? I forgot. Bad with names. I think it's the same director who did Kingdom of the Spiders. So, yeah, I always liked Mutant. So I'll put that as number 9. Like I said, when it feels a bit more underrated, I'd kind of put it higher. Number 10, Gremlins. What the fuck? You like Runaway and Mutant more than Gremlins? I'm just saying they're more endearing to me before. I don't know why. At times I feel like a protective parent, even though they ain't my kids. I don't know. It's just this. There's just the weird thing about me. I can't help it. Maybe because I appreciate the entertainment films give me, so when I see what I think people did a good job and it gets underappreciated in my opinion, for some reason I become more defensive about it because I'd rather watch that than some of the shit that does get praised, like Beau is Afraid. That's just my opinion. But yeah, number 10, Gremlins. I mean, what more could be said about Gremlins? Zad Galligan, Gizmo. Definitely more of a cuter family film, which I think the original intention was supposed to be much more of a serious horror film. I think the original idea, like the mom, Zad Galligan's mom, got killed when she was facing off against the Gremlins. And of course, they toned it down when, especially when Spielberg got involved to produce it. But I like the look of Gizmo. I think the look, the design, the voice all worked well. Also like the design of the Gremlins. I think they got some really good effects. Definitely got better with Gremlins 2, but I think for 84 they accomplished a decent level of competence on those effects. Another Jerry Goldsmith score. Phoebe Cates, Dick Miller, nice supporting cast in there. I like Hoyt Axton, who plays the dad, who's the inventor, but his inventors always fuck up. Some nice little details, like when Hoyt Axton is in trying to make a phone call. There's all this other stuff. Like, I think like Robbie the Robot is like going nearby because he's at some convention. There's like the time machine from the original movie, The Time Machine, in there. Of course, the Gremlins being partial to Snow White. Of course, if they watch a Disney movie today, they probably just tear the screen down and then blow their brains out. Anyway, number 10, I'll put Gremlins. Number 11, Conan the Destroyer. I've always liked that film. I like Conan the Barbarian, but Conan the Destroyer was always my favorite. I love the adventure aspect. The group always kind of remind me of Gauntlet, because I played that Nintendo game. Could never beat it, because I suck at it, but was pissed I could never beat it. But it's like there's the thief, there's the barbarian, there's the wizard. I like the group dynamic in Conan the Destroyer. I like having from Arnold to Will Chamberlain to Grace Jones to Mako as the wizard, who's in the first one, but here he had a bit more to do. It's not as violent as the first movie, but I still thought there was some violence in it. There's still some blood in it. Enough talk. Throwing knives into people. I love the monster, which is actually played by Andre the Giant. I love that Conan had to fight this monster and literally rip its fucking horn out, bleeding. Yeah. And I like the score. I knew a film has hooked me when all Arnold is doing in one scene is beating up mirrors. But the way the wizards fucked with him and the way the music. Da-da, 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 da, da-da, da-da, da-da. I'm like, all he's doing is smashing mirrors, and I'm getting excited. So I know the movie hooked me. I also liked his sidekick, Tracy Walter, I believe. He was Jack Nicholson's sidekick in Batman '89. He was also one of the villain sidekicks in Drive with Martha Costas. He was the cook in City Slickers. Good character actor. Always liked Conan the Destroyer. Quite a bit. So number 12, I will put Starman. This is sort of, I guess you could say, John Carpenter's repentance for The Thing, even though The Thing's a classic, but people took such a huge shit on him. Is that fine? I'll make your nice alien movie. And to me, he made a movie better than E.T. I don't hate E.T. I've never hated E.T. I know my friends don't like E.T., but I liked E.T. I liked it. I think it's a cute movie. It's a pretty decent family film. I think it's well made, well acted. I liked E.T., the extraterrestrial. Almost said extra-testicle, but that's Eddie Torres, you know. It's a Chi-Chi-Cha movie. E.T. 2, Eddie Torres, extra-testicle. But I liked it. I liked E.T., but Starman, I feel much more emotional, gravitas with it. I love the Jeff Bridges and Karen Allen. I think work exceptionally well together. I think the musical score is absolutely beautiful. And it showed that John Carpenter can do more than just action, like I saw in Precinct 13, or horror, like The Thing. He could do... In fact, got Jeff Bridges an Oscar nomination. Starman, beautiful movie, touching story, great love story. Had to put it on the list. Number 13, I'm going to put Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. It's a classic. If it wasn't for the ending, I think it would be higher. Because I liked Heather Langenkamp. I know some consider her a bad actress. I liked her in this movie. I liked her in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Robert Englund was born to play Freddy Krueger. Wonderful score. Great directed by Wes Craven. Exceptional idea of the Freddy Krueger, what he could do. Early role with Johnny Depp. Nice death scenes, like him being pulled into the bed. Or Tina being invisible force dragged her to the ceiling. The ending is wonky, where it's a dream, but then the mom gets grabbed, and then she turns to a fucking Barbie doll and pulled into the house. And that was Bob Shaye's fault. Totally 100% Bob Shaye's fault. Because the way Wes wanted to end it was the best way to end it. She comes out, Fred's in the car, it drives away, it pans to the kids. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. So now you're thinking, okay, is this a dream? Are our friends really dead? Are our friends alive? Is Freddy going to come back again and do this again? And you go in any direction. Her friends are still alive. She got her friends back. Anything. Was this just an actual fucking weird-ass, long-ass dream for Heather Langenkamp's character? Like, it was more ambiguous in a good way. And then Bob Shaye's like, no, you have Freddy Krueger drive the car. Which he got with Freddy driving the bus in the second film. Then they had to do this compromise, and then you get this goofy effect with the mom turned to a Barbie doll and you know. That's all, folks. I hate that fucking shit. I also hate the fucking song at the end. It's a nightmare. Oh, it's a nightmare. I mean, it's such a shitty song. It's a nightmare. It's funny when the years I saw, because Of the horror franchises, Elm Street is the one I grew up with the most, watching them the most. We had VHS tapes where it was 1, 2, and 3 on one, and then 4, 5, and 6 on another, on VHS tapes. So it would always cut off before that fucking song started. So I didn't hear that damn song until like the DVDs and watching it. I'm like, what the fuck is this song? It's not my fucking. And then number 14 and 15, I'm going to put Night of the Comet and Silent Madness. Now I know, I wanted to put Friday the 13th Part 4 on there, but number 14 I put Night of the Comet because I really like those characters. I do think the first half is much, much better than the second half. I still like the second half, but the first half where I like the build up. I love Catherine Mary Stewart and Kelly Maroney. I think they work well as sisters. I like the 80s music. It's time to celebrate. I like that Catherine is so big into arcade machines. I don't know, just something about that just made me smile. Who the hell took this store? Okay, I'm gonna screw that. She's playing the game in order to get that one guy's store off. So it's just her store. I forget what game it was. I like the realization that they're alone and how I think they did a good job showcasing an empty city. And there's sand, it's just clothes and sand, and when it was the two of them by themselves, it felt like the end of the world. I think the director did a good job showcasing that feeling of isolation, of oh shit, as these characters realize what's going on. That was always something that I remember when I was a kid, just something about that honing in on. And then, how do I put it? I forget what the hell I was going to say. Also, well, I wanted to mention. That's what I was looking up. The guy's name. He was in Lone Wolf McQuade as well. And again, I apologize. I'm bad with names. Cast. I do like that guy. Like I said, he became Chuck Norris's partner in Lone Wolf McQuade. Robert Beltran. I think he was in one of the Star Trek TV shows. I liked his character Hector. I thought he was a very fun character. I really liked the interactions they had with each other, and that just became the three of them. It was very cool. The whole stuff with the government, and then they're doing these experiments. I just never thought it was as interesting as the first half. But as the years come and I've watched it more and more, I've warmed up to it. And I liked it. And they saved the kids. I think because it felt like a different movie. It kind of feels like two movies in one. You have them stuck in the city by themselves, and these mutants. That's another thing. You have these mutants, and all from the comet, looking like zombies. And then you even have these other assholes that are slowly becoming these zombies, and they're got machine guns, and you have this fight in this store, gunfight. But when you get like the government officials, I'm like, this feels like a different movie now. But it doesn't bother me as much now as it does back then. So I don't know if that makes sense to people. Now nowadays I can watch it and have no problems, and like I said, I just really like the characters in that film. And then number 15, I put Silent Madness. The reason I put Silent Madness is because that's a film that I wasn't really sure about, and I was looking at slasher films. I'm like, wow, this one. Yes, technically Friday the 13th Part 4 should be above it. I know. I understand that, I know. But it's not Corey Feldman, and fuck Corey Feldman. No, well, fuck Corey Feldman, but that's not the reason. I mean, he's got the gore and everything in between going for it. I just, because, like I said, I like rooting for the underdog, the lesser known movies. And that one, I like the lead lady, who's like the female Dr. Loomis. I like the gimmicks of trying to do the 3D. And in all intents and purposes, yes, Friday the 13th Part 4 I should be putting above it. But I don't know. Fuck it. It's my list. I put Sound of Madness because I wanted to talk about it. Wanted to give it a little bit of love. I like some little attributes they give to it, like a girl playing a Dragon's Lair video game and getting killed while playing that arcade machine, or the mix between these doctors fucking up and this association trying to keep things quiet, in a mix with this killer going around killing people around this the facility. I think my boys get mad at me for picking it over Friday 4. I just really, if I think about it, the plot in Sound of Madness is more interesting to me than Friday the 13th Part 4's plot. I mean, Part 4, there's Jason, he's killing motherfuckers, another camp, just like the first 3. Only he's Jason hockey mask, like the previous 2. And you got good gore by Tom Savini. I like Crispin Glover, and I liked his partner from Last American Virgin. I wish they were the leads. If they were the leads, maybe it would have gone up. I don't mind Kimberly Beck. She's fine. She's not one of my favorites, though, but she's fine. Corey Feldman, I can't help it. Anytime I look at him now, I want to get him in a pile driver and slam him down. I can't help it. I still, I hate Corey Feldman nowadays. I fucking hate that guy. I hate that motherfucker. He's a piece of shit. And I will continue to say Corey Feldman is a piece of shit. And I want to tell him, get the fuck out of my face. But I mean, I still like, The Lost Boys quite a bit, and other films quite a bit, but just, I don't know. I'm like, Jason, get that motherfucker. Please get that motherfucker, Jason. Get that little motherfucker. You didn't? Goddamn you, Jason. You asshole. So, anyway, there. Yeah, this one was just a nice little surprise. I like the chase scene at the end where she's going through the vents and he gets this weird device to shimmy down to try to rip her into shreds. And I even like the reporter guy, and I like, what's her name? I want to try to find what her name. Come on. Belinda Montgomery. I thought she did a really good job. Like I said, I thought this had some nice charm to it. And 3D is kind of neat as well. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.